Okay, so I would start off with my first question being, Hi Ronnie, I understand that you have been recommended for outside counseling apart from relationship counseling with Jessica. You've mentioned that you have a job you love working as a public defender, you have two pet cats that you adore, and you're living with your significant other in NYC as you've hoped for since you were a child. It seems there's a lot going well for you right now. Do you have any more goals, big or small, that you'd like to check off in your near future? So here I am listing some of the positive factors in Ronnie's life so as to pull her away from any negativity she might hold towards her relationship or her job. Positive psychology is about recognizing satisfaction and contentment from the past, which I'm helping her to do here as I phrase her achievements as goals she has reached. I also ask about any more goals she hopes to achieve, which will help me to get a better understanding of her hope and optimism for the future. So, question number 2. It seems to me that you love Jessica, and I respect the steps you two have taken to strengthen your relationship through counseling. Individually, what positive aspects do you bring to the relationship? So, positive psychology focuses on identifying and nurturing one's strongest qualities and amplifying the strengths that one possesses rather than trying to identify and fix weaknesses. I'm highlighting Ronnie's capacity for love in the way that I pose this question, as this might be a positive individual trait that Ronnie doesn't give herself enough credit for, especially if they're having relationship problems. So the article mentions the capacity to love as a positive individual trait, as well as forgiveness, courage, originality, wisdom, and then many more. So here I am curious what positive individual traits Ronnie sees herself possessing and bringing into the relationship. So question number 3. In the past, through work, through childhood, through relationship ups and downs, etc., what are some sources of strength that you find yourself drawing upon? So this question may appear to be negative for positive psychology practice in that I'm asking Ronnie to think about a challenge she has previously faced, but I'm asking her to highlight how she overcame it based on her personal motivations and strengths. I'm asking her to reframe a previous struggle in a positive light where she has used her own strength to overcome it. I'm reminding her of more of the strengths and individual personality traits that she has within herself so that she can draw on them in the future or in any present conflicts. Positive psychology looks at what sources of strength people draw on and sees treatment as nurturing strengths, finding what someone is best at rather than fixing what is broken. So my fourth question would be, would you describe yourself as happy? What makes you happy? Who makes you happy? Here I'm getting an idea as to how Ronnie measures her happiness. Is it in activities and events, alone time, quality with Jessica? Are there friends and family in her life that she is most happy with? Does her job bring her the most happiness? Etc., depending on how she would answer the question. So through this question I can further assess the climates that will promote Ronnie's happiness. The reading talks about the evolutionary perspective of positive psychology, saying that people choose behaviors that make them feel alive, competent, and creative. I can get a better idea of the meaningful activities and social interactions where Ronnie finds joy based on her answer to the question. I can also get a bit of a read on her subjective well-being. My favorite quote from the reading, and something that I hope to carry with me in my own life, is that people can be blind to the survival value of positive emotions simply because they are so important. Like the fish who is unaware of the water in which it swims, people take for granted love, hope, and enjoyment because these are the very conditions that allow them to go on living. So positive psychology can help someone to recognize these positive emotions that may have existed in their life all along, within themselves, in their relationships, and in others. So by asking Ronnie about the things that make her happy, I can remind her of these positive emotions that exist in her everyday life, even if she has become blind to them. So my fifth question is, if you could describe your life and how you feel about your life, what would you say? This question evaluates Ronnie's subjective well-being, or how she thinks and feels about her life. Based on Ronnie's answer to this question, I can get an overall better feel about Ronnie's affect on her life and the overall conclusions she reaches when evaluating her existence. So a good subjective well-being is a positive personality trait that contributes to positive psychology. By getting a feel on Ronnie's overall evaluation of her life thus far, I can remind her as is mentioned in the reading, that it is not what happens to people that determines how happy they are, but rather how they interpret what happens in their life. I think in a clinical setting, this is a positive reminder to include when dealing with patients. My sixth question is, you mentioned that you were Jewish, so how does religion impact your life? This could be in everyday terms or overall as a person. So my support for this question is that positive psychology supports that there is a correlation between religion and faith and happiness. So it is interesting that Ronnie describes herself as Jewish right off the bat. So it would be important to know how this aspect of culture influences her life and her happiness. I would want to know if Jessica is also Jewish, and does religion have any impact on their relationship? And I would be interested to see how involved Ronnie is in the Jewish community, or if she has any interest in additional resources that I could provide her with on potential Jewish community centers or temples in the area if she wants to get more involved. So my seventh question is, lastly, what is an aspect of your relationship that you are grateful for and brings about positive emotions for you? So here, Ronnie could touch on the ways that Jessica supports her in her work, cares for her cats, believes in Ronnie, the way they support and encourage each other, like a variety of answers. So based on what her response may be, whatever it may be, in regards to positive psychology, I'm hoping to frame aspects of both Jessica and their relationship in a positive light. Positive psychology is all about recognizing strengths and favorable qualities in oneself or in one's environment or social relationships. So I'm helping Ronnie to see the positive aspects that make their relationship work and that make her thankful for her partner. I would want to end the session with Ronnie feeling optimistic about her relationship and about her ability to make the relationship work despite their struggles, and the recommendation for extra counseling for both of them. So the whole point, from what I've gathered of positive psychology, is to learn how to build up qualities, strengths, and personal traits that individuals are proud of and that bring them happiness and joy, rather than highlighting negative qualities and looking for a remedy.